What's up, everybody? It's the homie Truth Teller, the street reporter. And the FBI said they figured out what happened to Herbo best friend Greg, who was killed in a barbershop. Blah, 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 blah. They actually blicked him while he was getting a haircut in a barbershop. And they say that this guy was buying guns. He was a soldier for the war. And instead of fighting for his country, he went out there to make some money. He was selling guns to gang members. His guns is linked to 8 bodies, 8 murders, 8 people getting killed. He sold guns, they say, to like the KTS faction, Cutthroat, Kill to Survive. They was in a war with No Limit and Drench Gang. And this guy named Brandon Miller supplied them with all kind of guns and shit. We finna talk about this. Hit the like button. Goal on this video, 3,000 likes. This been one of the biggest cases in the drill culture. It didn't get a lot of attention because Greg wasn't really big, but his friend G. Herbo was. You know, this news garnered a lot of attention, so we finna talk about this. A lot of rumors about what happened to Greg. I got the real right here, so hit the like button. I'm gonna give you a second. It's cold out here. According to the authorities, this guy named Brandon Miller, he told authorities he joined the army to escape the gang life. He said he was going to funeral after funeral, everybody losing their life. You know, this guy ended up joining the army, according to the feds. He was only 24 years old. They said instead of joining the army to take care of the country and protect people, he did that shit for a bag of money. He was buying guns and selling them. They said he ran like a firearms business and shit, and he sold guns that ended up being used in 2 mass shootings, and the guns was linked to 8 murders in the city of Chicago, including G. Herbo friend Greg, who was killed inside of a barbershop. This guy was arrested a little while ago, but he finally pleaded guilty about 6 days ago. So this is going viral. This is actually one of the stories on the front page of the Chicago Sun-Times today. Seeing like the feds is getting involved in a lot of the shit that we hear about in the drill culture and things like that. But this guy, he facing 8 to 12 years in a federal prison for his role in guns being linked to 8 murders. So he's not facing a lot of time. The man could possibly only get 8 years for 8 bodies. He didn't kill him, but he was linked to him. According to the feds, this guy lived in Tennessee. He was buying guns out of Tennessee and selling them in Chicago. Actually, some of the gang members who bought guns from him later on got caught in the conspiracy and locked down because he admitted what happened. He told on everybody, according to this shit. So 14 members of a gang were actually charged with buying illegal guns from him and shit like that. A lot of them pleaded guilty. Some of them haven't yet. So some of these charges are still going on. According to the Chicago Sun-Times new article, it says that this guy here was a soldier between December 2020 and I believe 2021. He bought over 100 guns and sold all the motherfuckers to Chicago. Most of the guns that he sold to KTS members. That's the crew that Cutthroat Dre was in, Cutthroat Vaughn, and people like that. They said he sold his guns to KTS members and Lakeside members and Cottage Mob Vice Lords. He sold them guns to help them in a war with No Limit, Drench Gang. That's strong as hell. 4 guns were actually covered from the scene of one of the mass shootings on the southwest side on March 26, 2021. Prosecutors say a guy named Deontay was killed and 8 people were wounded in that shooting. Okay, that's what they said, that he was killed and 8 people were wounded in that shooting. Thomas is actually a real close friend of Brandon Miller, the guy who was buying these guns. According to the feds, Brandon Miller sold a gun to a person who killed Brandon's best friend. And Brandon even said, yeah, that didn't look bad. That looked very bad. He didn't mean to sell guns to get his friends killed, but unfortunately, that ended up happening. The guns that was found on the scene, when they traced the serial numbers, it led back to some of the guns that this guy sold. When they raided Brandon Miller's house, they found a few guns in boxes that hold the guns, and the box's serial numbers matched a lot of serial numbers from guns that was involved in murders. They said that he bought these guns in Tennessee and came out here in Chicago and sold them. They say one of the guns that he sold was used in the killing a G. Herbo friend who was actually sitting inside of a barbershop called Studio 19. His name was Greg. He was sitting in a barbershop when the gunman walked in there, played like he wanted to get his hair cut, acting like he was finna go in the bathroom and shit. He walked in there. He go in the bathroom. Then when he comes out the bathroom, he plays it off, and then he blah 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 blah. Blick that guy down in the chair, and then run the fuck up out of there. You know, according to the feds, one of the guns that was used in that killing, this guy bought, and they said, goddamn it, these guns has been bought from this guy a lot. These guns are some of the guns that was in the war with KTS and No Limit. This guy said, I bought the gun, and then all of a sudden shit got out of hand. That's what he said. In his plea agreement, he admitted he sold guns to all these gang members in Chicago. Most of the guns were high-priced Glocks, Smith & Wessons and shit like that. The real good guns. He would sell a Glock handgun with like a high capacity round for only $850, which is a deal, because them shits be like damn near $2,000, according to paperwork and shit like that. Miller said he joined the gang to escape a lot of the street shit because a lot of his friends were getting killed. He said he planned on leaving the army, but ended up getting caught up in this shit. Miller, the guy who sold these guns, was actually caught in like a sexual assault case where they say he assaulted a woman or something like that. He ended up being kicked out the army and shit like that. He was also charged with stealing money from like a federal paycheck program and shit like that, the COVID-19 pandemic. So the feds been all in his business trying to get him locked up and shit like that. But he finally pleaded guilty. He facing 8 to 12 years. His sentence is going to be coming soon. This guy cooperated. He said No Limit and KTS been in a strong war and was